Yo, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, baby. Representing Team Kings of Games, and today I'm coming at you guys with the deck that I've been crafting myself up, working strenuously on making this as consistent and as powerful as I possibly could. What the long goal was for me with this deck was I wanted to be able to put up the most powerful boards that a dinosaur deck can put up, enabling more combos than any dinosaur deck can naturally enable. I wanted to be able to play through interruptions. I didn't want one hand trap on my Overraptor to stop me. I wanted contingency plans. I wanted multiple routes. I wanted less linear plays, and I wanted the ability to break boards, destroy boards, and bore sword my opponent to death with the conductor on the field. What I'm coming at you guys today, contrary to how I felt about dinos, a subscriber of mine actually forced me to change my ways with dinos, telling me to think less of myself and more of my subscribers. Took his advice and started incorporating dinos into things. What I have for you guys today is NEPHTHYS True King Dinos. This is an absolute monstrosity of a deck, and actually to prove my the statements that I'm going to be making about this deck, I have duels already with this deck, showcasing it in action, absolutely just destroying things. I'm talking about in one turn, dropping a Logia, an Overtex Coatlicus, a freaking True King of all calamities, a Conductor, and a Borosaur Dragon. All of that in one turn, dude. That's crazy. This deck did that. It's been going like crazy, dude. Like, this deck is so bananas. I'm going to show you the list. It's actually way more than 40 cards. It's really powerful. It's full of enablers. I hope that you guys enjoy this deck profile. And I'm going to be doing the duels afterwards. And then after this, we've got NEPHTHYS. The next NEPHTHYS variant that I'm going to be showcasing is going to be definitely NEPHTHYS Shadows. So let's go ahead and hop into it. So the first thing we're going to be showcasing is the NEPHTHYS portion of the deck, because this is really the true inspiration. For the enablers, for your combos, the NEPHTHYS are definitely one of the best ways to start up your combos with dinosaurs. If you are, of course, playing the babies, which is how you're going to get the synergy that the two archetypes have between each other. Very cohesive. Everything kind of works in a way. The functionality of the deck works so well that it kind of just makes sense. It makes it to where you're like, why wasn't I playing NEPHTHYS dinos before? And that's almost the question that I've been asking myself. So 3 Devotees. What Devotee is basically as a powerful starter card for your deck. It's a tour guide for the NEPHTHYS archetype. What it does, if it's ritual summon, is it special summons a NEPHTHYS monster from your deck. In addition to special summoning a NEPHTHYS monster from your deck, it also can recur itself from the graveyard by destroying a NEPHTHYS card. That's often the times how the NEPHTHYS monsters are going to resolve their effects. They have to destroy cards in your hand for the most part. This card is just one of the best starters. If you have a pre-prep, basically if you open a pre-prep and a fossil dig with any other cards in your hand being the tribute fodder for your ritual summon for Devotee, that combo is going to end you on an insane board. Just those, basically it's a 2.5 card combo, pre-prep and fossil dig. So yeah, Devotee is just really powerful for this deck. She's one of the best starter cards in the deck. Every combo is exponentially stronger by having her, and she also helps you to break boards going second. If your opponent happens to impermanence her, you can link off with her and then bring her back and use her to extend your link climbing place to go into your Borosaur. In addition to that, just making your Preserver allows you to play through a lot more disruptions, getting you your +1, and enabling you to summon your Cerulean the Sacred Phoenix and finish picking your opponent's board apart. Speaking of, we're playing one copy of Cerulean Sacred Phoenix of NEPHTHYS. This card is an insanely powerful card. It's way better going second than it is going first. It has a lot of recurability, which is really strong. The NEPHTHYS in general are really good at recurring themselves during the next standby. This card basically can destroy any number of NEPHTHYS on your field and or both your hand, and you destroy that many monsters your opponent controls. It does not target, so that's really good. And it's spot removal that matters. It's like a board wipe depending on how much you kill. So these are the 4 blue cards that I decided to play. I had to really decrease the amount of Ceruleans I was playing in my list. I didn't want to break. Devotee is the only blue card that really matters. This is just here for your pushes. And by resolving Devotee, you get this, and this searches this out anyways. So it made no sense to play any more than the one copy of Cerulean. Because after you've resolved this effect, it's going to keep bringing itself back from the graveyard in the first place. So you'll never really need to see the second copy of it. But Devotee is just so important maximizing her, because if you don't see pre-prep, you need to see her in a way to get her ritual spell. So she's absolutely pivotal to setting up your combos and establishing your board, progressing your game state, and optimizing your plays. Next up, we have 3 copies of Disciple of NEPHTHYS. This is the card that you naturally want to be summoning off of your Devotee. This is kind of going to start more of your combos. Basically, the long goal is you want to resolve Devotee, summoning Disciple. Use Disciple to pop a Baby Ceratosaurus or Petite Pteranodon from your hand. Search for one of your NEPHTHYS monsters, trigger your baby, bring out an Oviraptor, or if you have another extender, like if you have a True King in hand, or if you have a diagram for starting up more plays, you'll just summon another baby off the baby and just keep following up with your plays. Yeah, this by itself, just Disciple plus Baby Ceratosaurus can get you so far. It's actually ridiculous. So yeah, this deck abuses babies more than True King Dinos can, because True King Dinos are already in this deck. Does it make sense? I already have diagrams in this deck, and I'm playing a lot more True Kings than most dinosaur decks play. But then you have even more ways to extend your plays and enablers as far as popping your babies go. The NEPHTHYS are really good at that too. So opening with babies in hand is a really good thing in this deck. And in fact, a lot of the times my combos aren't even as powerful unless I have a baby or 2 in hand. And then next up, oh yeah, so outside of Disciple searching out your monsters, if it dies during the next standby, you get to add a you get to add a NEPHTHYS spell or trap from your deck to your hand. And then to sum up the level 2 Disciples, the level 2 NEPHTHYS monsters, I'm playing one Matriarch. Matriarch in itself is just a recovery follow-up play. What it's going to do is it's going to reborn basically your Disciple. It reborns level 2 or lowers. If your Devotee's been properly summoned, if you don't want to use Devotee's effect, you can always use Matriarch. Or if Devotee gets Ghost Spelled in Haunted Mansion, you can use Matriarch to bring it back. So it's just a monster reborn for the archetype, and then if it dies during the next standby, it recurs itself back from the graveyard. So it's already going to give you advantage from the graveyard, which helps you to grind for a very long time. And naturally, this is what you want to search off the Disciple. If you don't need this, then what you want to search next is a really high ceiling card known as Sacred Phoenix of the NEPHTHYS. What this card's going to do is it's going to destroy Sky Strikers and Alter Guys if they don't have an out to it. Especially when you have a Logia and an Overtext Qualis on the field, it makes it to where they can't Widow Anchor or Impermanence or Alter Guys Protocol, and just having Logia and Overtext in general prevent the protocol from being established in the first place. But what this does is if it's destroyed, this is the OG NEPHTHYS, by the way. You should know what this does, but anyways, what it does is if it's destroyed during the next standby, it specials itself in the graveyard, and then it destroys all spells or traps on the field. All spells and traps on the field. It can hurt you because it can pop your diagram, but when you consider how much more it hurts your opponent, I would say the benefits that it accumulates for you definitely outweigh the disposition that it could put you in. There's nothing detrimental about resolving this card. That's going to be the NEPHTHYS portion of your deck. Now moving forward to the dinosaurs, which are kind of like the Devotees, the NEPHTHYS themselves are really enabling your dinos to make your combos for your dinos a lot more consistent. Repetitions, elevating the ceiling of the deck, giving you more plays and more ways to start up your dinos and get them going, because the dinos are really what carries this deck, if that makes sense. The Devotees and the Disciples really give you a lot of ways to start up your plays to pop your babies. And at the end of it, the NEPHTHYS themselves will give you a lot of follow-ups and give you a lot of ways to maneuver around negations, because they're such powerful cards, and resolving them gives you so much advantage. Your opponent's going to want to negate them. But at the end of the day, what's going to carry your deck is going to be the dinosaurs, because they have so much higher ceiling. They have much higher ceiling than the NEPHTHYS themselves. So we're going to start off with 3 UCTs. As much as I hate this card, I cannot deny how powerful it is. Ultimate Conductor Tyranno can just clear entire boards. It doesn't matter how many negations you have. What matters is that this card's effect to attack every monster your opponent controls doesn't activate. So you're going to have something that targets and negates his effect, not something that negates the activation of a card effect, because he doesn't care about that. And that's in addition to you being able to consistently search out your miscellaneous source through all the ways you can get access to popping your babies, all your fossil digs, and your Oviraptors themselves. So yeah, UCT is just no joke, you guys. It really helps you going second, like, immensely. It's really powerful, because even when your opponent azathots you, if you have a way to get out Conductor, you can still OTK them, because Conductor's effect to attack does not activate. So I really have to keep specifying that, because that's a stipulation that really comes in handy in that particular matchup, because it's something that they can't cripple or hinder you from doing. So it's still going to be detrimental for them if they don't have the way to stop your Conductor. And still by itself, he gives you disruptions against combo decks, which is nuts. Just sitting on a Conductor can really carry you. 2 copies of Overtext Qualis. I'm a huge believer in playing 2 of this card. I've always said, even when I wasn't playing dinos, I've always said, for most dino players, I felt like you should play 2 Koalas because one is definitely always going to get you the pill. And the other one is going to definitely be either special summon off the pill that you searched off of the first one, which comes up a lot, or what happens in the mid to late game is you do a lot of banishing. You end up needing this to recur your resources, get back your banished miscellaneous and your babies and your conductors that you have to banish and your overraptors that you have to banish. So this gets your engine back. And then in addition to that, the other issue is playing 1. If you open it, now your overraptor cannot search your pill. So there's a lot of great reasons for playing 2 of it. And it's not a really bad card. Any cards that are dead in your hand, you just pop them with your NEPHTHYS and they immediately become live. So yeah, Overtext is amazing as well as your conductor. And then we play 3 copies of Soul Eating Overraptor. This card is just really, really powerful, you guys. Oftentimes, this is the card that people want to negate, but luckily, we're not playing pure dinos. So them negating our them negating our Overraptor is not going to end our turn. We have a lot of other plays that we can make. We have 1 copy of Miscellaneous Saurus, 1 copy of Giant Rex, and to finish the 1-ups, we play 1 Dirac Aeolo and 1 Dino Rex or Pancreatops. The reason why I'm playing Pancreatops in my main deck is because due to the duration of my combos, following different algorithms, I've learned that you can still end with your Logia, your Overtext, Koalas, and your Conductor. If you open with Conductor in your hand, you can end with Conductor, Koalas, and Logia, even without the True Kings or making Calamity or anything, without a diagram. And one of the Petite Pteranodons that you pop through the duration of your combo can summon a Pancreatops from your deck because Petite summons level 4s or higher, and he happens to follow in that category. So you can end with, and I've done this, literally, I'm talking from experience, where you can end with a Logia, an Overtext, a Dino Rex or Pancreatops, and a Conductor. If you count that, that's 4 interruptions, and normally the Logia and the Overtext are already too much, but playing through the UCT and the Dino Wrestler is just a lot. And then the fact that the Overtext is guaranteeing to get you a pill, which gives you another follow-up play, is just really strong. So there's a lot of good reasons for playing this card, and it's also searchable spot removal if you're forced to go second. Even if you don't need, if you can't resolve Overraptor, if you could just find a way to pop Petite Pteranodon in your hand, you can immediately summon this and just out the there can only be one that your opponent had, for example, because there can only be one can really cripple how many dinosaurs you get out, obviously. So that's going to be them. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to show you all the babies we're playing. We're actually playing 6 babies. People are going to think I'm crazy for playing 6 babies. Oh, Lord. Like, you have to see the duels I have with this deck. You have to see how I go off with this deck. You have to understand how important the babies are. If I have a NEPHTHYS combo and I don't have a baby in hand, it's almost like it's not even worth doing the NEPHTHYS combo because that's the main purpose of the deck. The babies are the strongest dinosaurs for starting and enabling your combos. Even an Overraptor is not going to be more powerful than having a baby in hand because the babies are going to give you access to the Overraptor anyways. But the thing is, it gives you an extension to your plays because you're not wasting your normal summon on the Overraptor, meaning that you can commit your normal summon to other things that can further progress your game state, give you a contingency plan if they happen to hand trap a certain play, or even if they just hand trap the baby, which is not really smart. They want to wait for the Overraptor. That's smart too. But in general, just the babies are so good in this deck. There's no reason to not play 6. I've never really had an issue with opening them. In fact, sometimes the issue, even playing 6 of them, was still not opening a baby, and I've had that problem. That's why I ended up bumping Petite Pteranodon from 1 to 3, because I kept having issues testing this deck where I was like, dude, I keep not opening babies, and it was just really bothering me because I need babies. Babies are really what allows you to set up some of your best boards. Next up for the True Kings, we play 3 Agni Mazut the Vanisher, 3 Mariamne, and then 3 Barastos the Fathomer. These cards are really powerful cards. I'm a huge advocate and an avid fan of the worm-type monsters in general. My second favorite types of monsters are worms. My first favorite types of monsters are fairies, specifically like Attribute, but I really love worms. They are definitely just amazing creatures. You guys should know what the True Kings do by now. They've been around for quite some time. I really like this ratio a lot. Even going second, just breaking boards with the True Kings yourself is really powerful. When you've played through the disruptions that restrict your plays, just making a Calamities, calling Water, revealing Barastos, killing 2 of your opponent's monsters while simultaneously banishing 4 of their back rows, just clearing 4 cards for the cost of 1, and it still gets summoned and still damaged and it still floats. It's really powerful considering that you can break an entire established board just by setting up a Calamities with the Barastos. This is the most powerful True King to summon under your Calamities, especially in matchups that are back row prevalent. That's going to be it for your monsters. It's very combo heavy, so as you can see, we play a lot of monsters. Now for the spells of the deck. Draconic Diagram. Draconic Diagram gives you a contingency plan. So if you ever open up with an awkward hand and your normal summon has to go to Overraptor for whatever reason, because you didn't have a baby, your opponent, if they have a hand trap, they're always going to stop Overraptor. Nobody wants Overraptor resolve. And that kind of sometimes is your Called by the Grave, because I'm not playing Called bys currently in this deck. Because I actually felt that I wasn't drawing it. The ratios, I'm still working on the probabilities and the statistics of the deck. And basically the percentage of opening Called by was really off because I'm playing, I believe, 55 cards in my main. And I really just felt every time I was drawing Called by, it was just making my hands worse, actually. I was bricking on them. And it's really weird to say, but it's true. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to make my deck able to play through the hand traps. And not everybody's playing hand traps, so it's not like it's so prevalent where you're like, oh, I need Called bys or I'm going to lose. I just wanted my deck to be able to play through the hand traps. So cards like these really help you to get there because they give you additional ways to start up your plays, extend your plays, or give you follow-ups in the form of setting up more disruptions. Even if your plan A got stopped, you still have a plan B. But outside of that, Diagram plus a baby is still a nutty combo. Diagram on the NEPHTHYS is really good too because they have great graveyard effects. And just, you play 8 True Kings, it's not like you're never going to open a True King. And having a Diagram plus a True King means you could search out the attributes you need and you can make a Calamities. So this card just enables so many different plays. It's crazy. It's obviously the most powerful, just popping a baby in hand. Next up, we're playing 3 copies of Pre-Preparation of Rites. This card naturally is just a 1-card combo because you play this many monsters. And literally all these monsters can be tributed for the ritual summon of this level 2 because none of your monsters are a lower level than level 2 except for the one of Aolo. So virtually, if you think of it just on a mathematical scale, even if you just put it in the worst case scenario, Pre-Prep is always going to be naturally a 1-card combo. I think of it like Predaplant, Ophiris, Scorpio, and Lone Fire Blossom are naturally considered a 1-card combo. Just like Nightmare Corruptor Iblis is like a 1-card combo because if you think of it like you have Pre-Prep plus the ritual summon, the ritual fodder, which is like your technically quote-unquote discard fodder. Like this is a 1-card combo basically for this deck. Opening a Pre-Prep gets you really far. And if you open a Pre-Prep plus any way to get to one of your 9 babies, you have a really insane combo. And then in addition to that, I'm also playing 3 copies of Extra Foolish Burial. Extra Foolish Burial enables a lot of different plays. It's actually really powerful. It allows you to break boards. It allows you to set up your combo plays. It's a flexible card, and it does a lot of different things. It just helps me out. This was chosen over Prep because it can search out my ritual spell or my ritual monster. And I don't really care about paying half my life points because naturally this deck can just kill your opponent in 1 turn. And also put up boards that are naturally just too difficult to play through, even for a Thunder Dragon, Danger, Guard Dragon player. We have 3 copies of Fossil Dig, which is naturally going to be going for your babies a vast majority of the time if you didn't already have them. And then also 3 copies of Double Evolution Pill, another really high ceiling card going second. You play a ton of non-dinos. So if your worst case scenario, if you just have a pill and a dino and a non-dino in hand, and you have no other way to set up your grave because it's that kind of game state, you can resolve a pill. And if your opponent does not have a way to stop it, just a pill alone can break a board by summoning a Conductor. And another really high selling card, especially going second, is your Rebirth. Naturally, when you're using this to summon Devotee or your Cerulean and you use one of them for the ritual fodder, you can actually, in the same resolution, pop one of your opponent's cards without targeting. And if I am not mistaken, you can chain block with this in Devotee. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. There's no need to make a big deal out of it. But because I'm not sure about it, I've never tried to chain block with it because I didn't want to cheat my opponent out of a potential way to stop my Devotee from resolving. But once I get it figured out, if I learn that you can chain block with this in Devotee, that's going to make it insane. But as far as I'm concerned, I would assume that you cannot chain block with it because this has to resolve in order for Devotee to be ritual summoned. This has to be resolved. This has to resolve first, which means the pop already happened. So I just used common sense to basically determine that it could not be used. So now the extra deck, which where is it at? Okay, all right, everything's all right. Good. Okay, so as far as the extra deck goes, we're playing 3 copies of NEPHTHYS, the Sacred Preserver. So the Sacred Preserver is one of the best links to go into for starting your plays. Naturally, it's what's going to get you your +1. It also can get you recovery plays, which makes it even more powerful. And in general, it opens up 2 zones for you, which helps you out a lot. And oftentimes, just with the NEPHTHYS combos alone, making this allows you to make a Boar Sword naturally because of the extended plays that you get off of this, searching out your level 8 that you need for you to just commit to a ritual summon. And at that point, if you use Devotee, Devotee got out Disciple, and Disciple searched out your Matriarch, and then you made this before normal summoning, then you normal your Matriarch, pop another card in hand, bring back your level 2. That's a Borosword right there. That is a Borosword. Just by having pre-prep with any other cards in your hand. It doesn't matter what cards, because the NEPHTHYS just pop any card in your hand. So just by opening pre-prep, you guys have to understand that by opening pre-prep is a 1-card Borosword, basically. It's just like, imagine as every other card in your hand as discard fodder, and that's how I look at it. So yeah, normally when you're making this, you're making a Borosword, and that's what makes the NEPHTHYS even more powerful. If you don't believe me, I can just show you at the end of the deck profile if I'm quote overhyping a bad deck or whatever, if you want to be that way. We have 1 copy of Phoenix, just like a flex card. It just really helps me. What I really struggle against is there can only be 1. That's just 1 card that this deck really gets crippled by. And then we have Borreload and Borosword Dragon. Super easy to make with just the NEPHTHYS alone without even relying on the dinos. We have 2 copies of True King of All Chlamydia. I am playing 8 True Kings. Very realistically, I'm going to be making 2 in a duel, especially if it's that kind of game state. It doesn't always have to be simplified. Sometimes awkward game states force you to make plays that you naturally wouldn't make in your own comfort zone. But when you're out your comfort zone, sometimes you have to modify your ratios, and the percentages really do change when you're like, okay, normally I would win by resolving 1 Calamities, but this deck was just so good and the player was so good that like now I really do need the 2nd Calamities. It's coming up a lot. 1 copy of Evil Zarlagia and 1 copy of Evil Zardoka. These are high ceiling win conditions by themselves in the specific matchups. I've never been able to get out both in 1 turn, but woo, the day that happens, man, that's going to be crazy. And then we have 1 copy of Abyss Roller as another generic rank 4. I just think it's really good, this format. And the last part of my extra deck is supposed to be Trishula, Chambarba, Herald of the Arclight, and Unts, the Elder Entity Unts. Currently, my Elder Entity Unts are spread across so many decks, and I have too many decks. I just really did not feel like looking through all those decks to try to find those cards. So it's a 13-card extra deck, and the last 2 cards are 1 Herald of the Arclight and 1 Elder Entity Unts. And that concludes the extra deck, you guys. Now, I'll show you guys, for those of you who think I'm lying, which, man, I'm always lying, right? So let's go ahead and grab the 1 pre-prep, and I'll show you that this is a 1-card Borosword. So all the other cards in your hand, nothing matters except for the fact that at least 1 of the other 4 cards in your hand is a monster. That's all that matters. Okay, so you activate your pre-prep, you'll grab your Rebirth, and you're going to go ahead and grab your Devotee. Then you activate your Rebirth, you tribute any monster in your hand that's not direct AOLO, you summon her. Her effect is going to trigger, which is going to go ahead and bring you out your Disciple. You use Disciple to kill another one of your cards. So, in a sense, it's kind of self-contained because you don't need any other specific cards outside of pre-prep and just a monster, which you play like 30, almost 40 monsters. It's realistically, you're going to open one. So, once you've resolved this part of the combo, you go into Disciple, you pop another card in your hand, and then you search out. And this is when you're not popping babies, you're not generating a lot of advantage. But if you're popping babies, True Kings, or Overtext Koalises, you're getting a lot of advantage. That's why I like playing other cards that are really good to pop for this deck, because you can generate more advantage that way. And you don't necessarily neg all the time. Sometimes you just break even. So now we search this off of Disciple and we have a normal summon. We're going to link with these 2 into our Preserver. We're going to activate Preserver's effect. We're going to get Rebirth, and we're also going to get Cerulean from our deck to our hand. We can then normal summon the Matriarch, activate the Matriarch's effect, and then we can just pop one of these cards. So let's say, for example, we just pop the Rebirth from our hand, and we bring back the Devotee, and then we activate, we bring back Disciple, then we activate Devotee to pop Cerulean and bring Devotee out. Then we can link summon with the Disciple and the Matriarch and the NEPHTHYS, the Sacred Preserver. We go into Borosword. So the pre-prep enabled you to make Borosword and have a monster to switch to defense for you to go for game. If your opponent basically has at least a monster with decent enough statistics, the Borosword and the Devotee should be enough for game. So I really had to do that because people are always going to think I'm lying and overhyping crap. But I wasn't lying. Like, pre-prep is just so powerful in this deck. It actually, that's what makes if that's what makes the NEPHTHYS so good, because they're able to consistently do stuff like that. They just, link climb and spam a lot, and they really just enable so much more plays by themselves that oftentimes just an Overraptor, like when you open diagram and you pop a baby and like they didn't stop the diagram, but they decide to Ash Blossom the Overraptor, and you're like, oh crap, I can't go any further, but oh, I have a pre-prep, or oh, I have a way to resolve Devotee, then like you can make a Borosaurus or a Borreload under pressure. Or also you can just co-link your Phoenix and you can link climb a little bit. You can co-link your Phoenix and that same monster you would have brought back to use the Borosaurus to attack and change the defense. You discard, you draw, and you pop a back row. You know, then you draw on the resolution. Then you can bring back your Devotee from the graveyard. And then you take these two and the Devotee, and then you can make like Borreload, for example, if you just want to clear more cards, which is really cool. So the deck can do a lot, actually. It really can. I'd rather you guys see it in the duel than just take my word for it, because nobody's going to take my word for it. What do I know? But thank you guys so much for watching this deck profile. God bless you guys. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Stay tuned for future content. And you folks have a beautiful day. You will see a lot of this deck in action, because I really am enjoying this deck so much. It's actually super duper fun. I mean, I'm never really bored playing this deck. I like this deck so much for the fact that it's so awesome, it's so creative, and it just has a higher ceiling than any True King DINO variant, any pure NEPHTHYS variant I could think of. It's so explosive, it's so powerful. It's just really good, you guys. Thank you guys so much, though. I'm going to be moving forward to another deck profile that I got for you guys. That's some more goo, too, coming up soon. Peace, yo.